Hi, my name is Stevie and I like to write songs. We're working on this power metal song and today I would like to construct a chorus and work on some of the instrumental parts in the song. We'll be talking a bit today about classical music influence and the neoclassical approach to writing power metal. Let's go. If you haven't seen the previous video in this series, the link will be in the description. If you have seen the previous episode, you'll know that I already have a good idea of what way the chorus is going to go, so it's just a matter of us putting it together today. Let's have a look at where we are so far. So at the moment we have the song divided up into verses, pre-choruses, 1 and 2. And when we put the chorus in here now, we'll have 2 verses, 2 pre-choruses and 2 choruses. And then it's a matter of filling it in with all the instrumental parts that we need. So let's start recording the chorus now. Right, let's see what we have here. Let's have a listen to the vocal solo because I really did go mental with the harmonies. I recorded just about every harmony that I could possibly squeeze in.
Lost inside our fantasy, feeding on the energy. A username in cyberspace, chain reactions guiding me. Avatar in synergy, electrifying rhapsody. Shoot 'em up and break away, live to fight another day.
We're doing really careful pop vocal stacks here, so everything has been vocal-lined and melodined and all that stuff, and I'll do a tutorial on how I do that, and that'll be coming up pretty soon. The chorus is pretty cool, but I still think there's some elements missing from it. We obviously need to add some keyboards to it, but I also think maybe on the lead guitar we could come up with some kind of counter melody that interweaves throughout the vocals. Let's see what I can come up with and we'll do that now.
Lost inside our fantasy, feeding on the energy. A username in cyberspace, chain reactions guiding me. Avatar in synergy, electrifying rhapsody. Shoot 'em up and break away, live to fight another day. Lost inside our
Okay, I really like that. It adds a lot of energy to the track. I particularly like the high D that goes the whole way through it. Or in my case, because I'm in drop C, it's a high C. But I play it as a D, you know what I mean? It can be confusing at times. I think we'll take it down to the quieter guitar tracks. I don't think it needs to be that prominent. Yep, that's about right. Right, let's get some keyboards rocking. Right, let's try and build the keyboards up one line at a time. Okay, so I've done a wee bit of tidy up, and here's the final result for the strings. So it's just basically picking up on the counter melody of the guitar, the bass line, and the vocal melody. So let's hear what we have now.
Lost inside our fantasy, feeding on the energy. You was a name inside the space, reactions guiding me. Avatar in synergy, electrifying rhapsody. Shoot 'em up and break away, live to fight another day.
Okay, cool. And let's take all that and make it the second chorus as well. The good thing is, now it's time for some guitar solo parts. Yes! We can't really do a power metal episode without talking about classical music and its influence on power metal. Now, of course, classical music has influenced all forms of Western popular music since the very beginning. But in particular, it became very fashionable for rock musicians and early heavy metal musicians to wear their classical music influences on their sleeve. I think a big part was played by Deep Purple and the keyboard player John Lord, who talked a lot in interviews about how he was very influenced by classical music. Now, the classical music that seems to influence rock music the most is the period of classical music called Baroque. Famous composers from that time would be Johann Sebastian Bach and Vivaldi. Some of the features in this period of Baroque music tie in very well with heavy metal aesthetics. They like to do repeating patterns that last about 8 or 16 bars. They use form structures that are very reminiscent of A, B, C, which is sort of verse, chorus, bridge. And all these things tie in very nicely and make it a good type of music to draw from when you're trying to write heavy metal music. Now, a common classically influenced chord sequence that gets used quite a lot in rock music is something that I call the Andalusian chord sequence. In its simplest form, if we play in D minor, it'll sound like C minor because I'm in drop C. We start on the 1 chord, which is the D minor, and then we step down through every chord in the key. And then when we get to the 5 chord, we play it as a major. And that major is a chord that's stolen from the major key. And it sounds like a dominant chord, which has a very, very strong magnetic attraction back to the 1 chord. So, the thing about this chord sequence is every time we get to the dominant A chord, we're pulled back to the D minor chord. And that causes this chord sequence to have a very strong mesmerizing effect. It just wants to repeat over and over again. We start off playing in the Aeolian mode for the D, still Aeolian for all these chords. And then when we get to the A, we shift to the harmonic minor. And over that A chord, it's a dominant harmonic minor. So it still has that dominant effect, which pulls us very strongly back. So we have to be careful to move to the dominant harmonic minor in A every time we get there. Now I'm going to use this Andalusian chord sequence in the song, but I'm going to decorate it by adding some extra chords to it, but it still has the overall downward tendency until it ends up on the A major. So the first one I was going to try is going down 3 steps before going up 1 step and then down 3 and then up 1. So you'll hear it, it still has that Andalusian sound. And then we're on there. And so on. That's one of the chord sequences that I'm going to use. Another one I'm going to go up 4 each time. So these chord sequences sound like maybe they're not the Andalusian chord sequence, but they just are decorated versions because they still have that same downward tendency until they get to the dominant 5 chord. Now, how do we play over this chord sequence? There are 2 approaches. The first one I call the Iron Maiden approach, and that is to play the same repeating ostinato over and over again over each chord. So it's something like this. Now, I'm not going to do this approach because it sounds too much like Iron Maiden for me for this particular song. But if you want to hear this being used in almost every connotation and every different variation, then just listen to all of Iron Maiden's albums. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually follow the chords. So if we take that same little lick that we played, instead of playing the same thing over and over again over each chord, we're actually going to follow the chords and sequence the lick to match each chord. So what I mean is this. And that's the basic principle that I'm going to use for creating my instrumental breaks for this song. Let's have a look at the things that I've written now and get them recorded. I went ahead and recorded the keyboards off camera because I'm just playing the chords of the song and there's nothing interesting about that at all. So let's hear what we have. Okay, so the lead guitar parts here are playing in thirds. I'm starting on the D note on one of them, and I'm starting on the F note on the other one. And they follow through like that. Now, when I was doing this part, going up a third didn't sound right, so I took the up a third down an octave, which actually means I went down a sixth. And that's a common approach that Iron Maiden use as well. It sounds a wee bit less up a third. It has less of an up a third sound. It sounds a wee bit more complex because it's down a sixth, but it's actually the same thing. It's just that the other guitar is playing an octave lower. And of course, just so that you can hear it, I have the keyboards. Basically just playing along with the chords. So let's take everything else back and see how it transitions from that section into the vocal section. Cool, works well. I just heard something in the music that's given me an idea. Let me find it. I put that on as just a little fill. Let me take this out and loop it a minute. I think that might work as a good start for the song, just before these lead guitars come in. I'll try and assemble that and see what it sounds like. I think we might have the whole intro complete. Let's hear. Cool, that works pretty well. Now, at the end of the chorus, let's see if we can take this section here and use that again as the segue into the next verse. I'm not too sure. Right, the chord sequence works, but I'm not too sure about the melody on the lead guitars. I think I might use the chord sequence again, but write a different melody for here. Let's see if this one works any better. Cool, I like it. Maybe we should just do this at the end of the second chorus as well. Okay, so we're about at the 4-minute mark now. Probably the guitar solo would be the next thing. Let's leave the guitar solo for next week. Before we listen to what we've done today, there's a bit of build-up on the mids because there's so many guitars on the tracks now. I think I might scoop out a bit of mid, maybe add a bit of bottom end in. So we'll use this EQ here, Nova, and we can see here, I'm just adding a bit of 85 Hertz, almost 2 dB. I'm scooping out 2 dB at 500 Hertz. That should clean up the sound of the track a wee bit. That's pretty cool. believe I managed to squeeze in something about fighting dragons. Awesome. I'm really happy. It's definitely got that frantic power metal vibe to it. It's taking shape. I think we'll do a really unexpected time change for the guitar solo. Maybe go very slow or something for it. So we'll see what I come up with for the guitar solo in next week's episode. Alright, I hope you found that interesting today. I certainly enjoyed myself. If you're finding these videos useful, then please let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. Do all the things to help me with the algorithm. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate that I get the opportunity to do this. You guys rock.